everybody, it's Mary, and today is the day. We are so excited. It is our maiden voyage for us anyway, because as I've mentioned before, we purchased this RV before we actually had a vehicle to move it. And so our dealer brought it to the campground where we have had it for the past month. So we've had a month to get used to the RV, learn how to use it, however, all those little nuances that you need to learn with a new RV. So we've had the opportunity to do that, which has been great, but we have never hooked up, shut down, and moved this thing before. So today is the first day. We're so excited to do that. So one thing I wanted to tell you is it's really important to have a checklist, right? I think it's especially important when you're first starting out with a new RV because there are things that you have to do with every RV that are unique and different. We had a Class A motorhome before we went to this fifth wheel, and I've already learned that maybe it's due to the size, maybe it's just due to the amount of stuff we have with us, but there's a lot more things that we have to do to prep to get ready to leave with this fifth wheel than we had to do with our Class A. So we're learning all of that. So it's something that I did. I don't know if this will be helpful for you, but I am a bit of a list maker. So a few days ago, I just started at the front end of our RV, which in our case is our master bedroom. And I just started looking around. What needs to be put away, closed up, shut up, specifically done in each room as I worked my way to the back of the RV. And I just made this really exhaustive list, okay? Now, hopefully in the future, I won't have to always go by the list, but for the first time, I pretty much am, right? So the first thing that I did this morning, once we got up and got around and got our coffee made, was I just went and put all of the loose items in what I refer to as their traveling positions, okay? And that varies from room to room. I mean, here in the bedroom, that means there's a few things just laying on the bed, which is okay. But there are also some unique things about each part of our RV that we have to be sure we've done before we bring these slides in and move this beauty. So I'm going to just go through some of those things with you really quickly, just to show you just some of the little things that we're making sure are done before we pull this thing out of its current spot. So as I mentioned, I started at the front of my RV, which is the gooseneck part, and that is our master bedroom. So you can see, like I said, got some things in their travel position. These are loose items that we just move off the dresser onto the bed. In our Class A, we found that those traveled very well on the bed. Things don't move around a whole lot. So in this RV, one of the things that's really important is these closet doors. So you can see that they have these latches. These absolutely need to be secured before we take off. And why that's important is because this actually only has a single one here. If we were to slide our closet doors the opposite direction, they will slide that way. And when we're stationary, we typically do the doors this way, so we don't have to unlatch them every time we want to get in. But when we travel, they have to go in the opposite direction so they can, in fact, lock into place. So one of the things on my checklist is make sure the closet doors are in the proper position and locked in place. The other thing I always want to do is I want to walk through the RV, want to make sure that all the drawers, the cabinets, and everything is securely in place. Now we do have this laundry hamper. It typically sits here all the time, and the great thing is that even when the bed comes in, because it's soft-sided, the bed will just slide up right up to it, so we never move that. It can stay right there. So as I check the room and I see that everything is in its place, every door's been checked, every dresser's been checked, then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit the lights as I walk out, and I'm going to close the door behind me. That'll be my signal that this room has been checked and is ready for the slide to come in. Lights out, door closed. We know the bedroom is ready. So now we go into the bathroom. In here, I just typically set the things that sit on my counter. I just sit them right down in the sink. That way, if the mouthwash would happen to spill, it's in the perfect place because it's already in the sink. The towel, I usually leave up there. The same with the towels that hang on the wall. We just leave them up as we move. We've never had a problem with that in our motorhome. And then we usually do keep shower items right here on these shelves, but we also have shower bags. When we're staying at a nice campground with a nice shower house, often we'll just go use their showers so that we aren't filling our gray tanks. So we each have a shower bag. I just take those items that were typically on these shelves, throw them into our shower bags, and just put them right here in the floor of the shower. They ride really well. Now, the main thing that we need to do here in this bathroom, which is very new to us, so we're trying to be meticulous about it, are 2 doors. So we have sliding glass doors, as you can see here on our showers, and this latch absolutely must be latched all the way down. If we don't, the dealer told us it's very possible that in travel that thing would slide and bang back and forth and the glass could break. So we want to always make sure that that is secured. Just like in the bedroom, we want to make sure the cabinet doors are secured so that nothing comes out of there. And then again, as we leave, we're going to want to turn out the lights. And the last thing we're going to check is right here. Our bathroom has a pocket door. So we want to make sure that that pocket door is not sliding back and forth while we travel. So there is a snap. Oh, there it is. There's a snap right up here. So we just push the door back. We secure the snap, which may be harder for me than I thought. Hang on. This is real TV, people, or real YouTube. So we're going to push it back. I'm going to get it in place. And hopefully I'm gonna, snap it right in place. Now that door cannot move while we are traveling. And now we know the bathroom is done and ready to go too. The next area that we need to check on is this loft area. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all. This is gonna be kind of a learning experience for all of us. We have more stuff in the loft right now than we typically would because we're heading to visit our son, and these are some items that we are delivering to him. I have no idea how these are going to ride. I think the stuff further back is going to be no problem. This bag, I don't know. I actually may go put that under the bed just to be safe. We'll see. We may put it on the floor, but we don't know how things are going to ride up here. We're just going to have to see this trip. And that's one thing that I'll tell you. We have put things in places in their travel positions, as I mentioned, where we think they will ride well. When we get there, we may find out they didn't, and we'll have to readjust. But it's a learning curve. We'll figure it out as we go. So the next room is our office, and as I've shared with you before, we use this primarily for an office, although it can be a second bedroom. This is our bunk room. This is all pretty much set up. My monitor is mounted to the wall, so it's going to ride right there. We did use the under desk area for the kids' toy box and our extra water bottle, a few things there because this is a slide. So this slide is going to come in. And we just put a few things on here. This is that plastic table that my husband uses for his desk out in the other room. That's his bag that he throws on there. We'll probably sit that on the floor once the slide is in. But this one's pretty easy to do. Just about everything sits on the bed. And we actually had those things on that bed or sofa, as you might call it. We had those on there when the RV was moved here, and they rode perfectly. So we don't anticipate any issues with that. This does come quite a ways into the room. It doesn't completely come up against the desk, but it comes pretty close. So we will make sure that that's in place. We do also use this. This is our coat rack, and we have a shoe rug that we lay here. Because of the slide, we will have to move the shoe rug up to the front of the door. But otherwise, it makes this room pretty simple. So as I've done before, we're just going to turn out the lights. We're going to pull the door shut, and that is my own cue that the office is also ready to roll. We're in the main part of the RV, the living space, and you can see that I've really already gone through and done traveling positions. So this is a bar area where we have a toaster oven. All those things have been secured in their permanent locations. In this room, the main things we have to remember to do are we obviously want to make sure that all cabinet doors are closed securely, as well as the drawers. Down here in this cabinet, we do have an alcohol closet. So we make sure that all of those, I have either dividers between them, or I just wrap them in my extra dish towels for the trips, just so they don't have any issues. We also have to secure the handles on our residential refrigerator. There are refrigerator locks. We've seen them. We could have gotten one, but quite frankly, we had this really heavy duty Velcro that we had a whole roll of. So we just did this. It worked perfectly the last time. This refrigerator does come in almost all the way to this center island, but not quite. So we do need to make sure that those drawers are secured. Or those doors. So we will also double check all of these drawers. One thing that's unique about this RV is that we do have the underwater bottle system. So it has a pump that pumps that filtered water right up to us, which is great. But when we travel, the one thing we have to remember is the cap has to go back on the water. There's also a Velcro strap that goes around the neck of that bottle to help keep it in place. And then the actual pump, which is this item right here, has a little stand that it sits in right over the top of the trash can. So we goes right there, the filter hose goes up here. So we have that all taken care of, so it's ready to go. And then up here, these are just the items, right, that come off of the area over our stove. It's cutting boards, it's utensil caddies, it's my, all those things that sit up there on your counter space. We put all of it right here in our sink. It rides very well in here, and we don't have to worry about anything falling or breaking. Over here, the main thing that we have to do is we have this runner. It typically runs the opposite direction, like from the entertainment seating to the fireplace. But because of the slides, it has to go the other direction when we travel. So we just simply put that rug in the middle. We put the kitchen rug on top of it. This is our ottoman, and inside that ottoman we do put a few little breakables because we have blankets in there, so it's a really great padding for them. So that gets swapped out. Over here we just flatten the pillows out. I do have a couple of little things I put on this sofa. It rode perfectly the last time. And then over here on the entertainment seating, this is sort of a lap desk. I simply put that in there. And then the other big thing that's really important pre-travel is these chairs do ride right here in this slide. And the way that we keep them from banging around is there are these hooks. There are the hooks on the floor and the hook that's attached to the chair. So there's a loop on the floor and a hook on the chair. And you simply secure those in place and it keeps that chair from moving around. We have to do that with both chairs in order to make sure that they're not bopping and wobbling around as we travel. And there you go. The RV is secured. Everything's in place. We've got our bags, our coffee, our snacks. We're ready to jump outside and see what's happening out there. So while I'm inside getting things ready for the trip, Phil does the outside. So of course, the first thing we want to do is dump our tanks. We leave our black and gray tanks closed while we are parked, and then we just empty those at a regular cadence when they start to get full. We've heard that that helps to keep things from getting clogged up in your black water tank, and we've actually had that happen before, so it's a pretty important thing to note. So we drain those. We're going to work on getting that done. We're going to unhook the water. As you can see, we always use a water filter just to make sure that we keep our tanks and our lines as clean as possible. We also use a water pressure regulator. Thanks for the cue. That helps to make sure that we have just the right pressure, and we can adjust that for whatever we need at any given campground. Go ahead. So now we're going to go ahead and we're rehooking that hose back up to the water source, and we are going to flush our tanks before we go as well. So we're going to flush the black water out just to make sure that gets good and clean. And we're going to leave just a little bit of water in that black tank when we're finished. That way, as we're driving down the road and we're kind of getting that movement of the road, right? The stop, the start, all of that water is just going to swish around in there. And it's going to help to clean out that tank so that when we arrive at our next location, we'll have plenty of water in there and it'll be nice and cleaned out for us. So we have the fill play location, which is clearly marked as white, and then we have the flushing, thanks, the flushing, which is the black. We're just going to turn that on. We're just going to pump water right back into that black tank so that we can flush it out really well. Seconds.
Okay, we have finished flushing the black water tank. I'm going to shut it off, shut the flush off, and shut the holding tank, and that'll leave just a little bit of water in the tank. As we said earlier, we want to have a little bit of water in the tank. We won't flush the tank every time we move, but if we've set somewhere for several days, a couple weeks, whatever, we'll flush it before we move, just to give it a good cleaning out, clean any solid debris out of there, so that when we get to the next place we don't have to worry about a clog or a pile or anything like that. Once we've done the black water tank, then I open the gray water tanks, just open both of those and let those flush through the hose. That'll clean the hose out after we flush the gray water tank, and then you won't have residue in that. So that's kind of the process of shutting down out here. The next thing I'll do after I get the hose flushed is I'll unhook it, cap it, pick up our accordion holder for the hose, and put it all. We have a good storage box here for all the holding tank hose, and it's sealed. It has a lid that has a seal on it, so that'll keep any aromas within the box. So we'll do that to finish up out here. Then I'll unplug the hoses. I'll unplug the freshwater hose, put all the freshwater hose stuff in here. It also has a seal, and that's just to keep debris out of the freshwater hose, and so we don't have any problems there. I always hold on to the cap for the filter so I can put it back in there. Again, just a measure to keep things out of the filter. And then we'll unhook the power, unhook the cable, and that'll close us up out here, and we'll be ready to start lowering the jacks here in a little while.
Now everything is ready to go. We have all the lights off. We shut everything down. Now it's time to bring those slides in. So we have the Jayco. So we have a Jayco command center right here on the side of our RV. We also, by the way, have an app on our phones that we can do this with our phones as well. But Phil's going to go ahead and get this ready, and he is bringing in slides. So the first slide that's coming in is our kitchen. So you can see that's coming in really close to the counter itself, or that island. So that's slide number 1. The next slide coming in is our entertainment seating and our dinette. So that's coming in next. And as you can see, that's going to come really close too. I mean, there's very little space in there. So it's really important that you have everything in place before you do these slides, or if you don't, they're going to have to go back out and you're going to have to start again. So now we're doing that slide in the spare bedroom, and you can see it coming in there. Show you the comparison here with the desk so you can see how far. Now, the great thing about this room is you can actually open this door and get inside this room even with the slide in. So it's really nice that you do have a room that you could bring things, put it in if you needed to. And the last slide to come in is the bedroom. So we do have 4 slides on this thing. So like I say, it's always important to make sure you know where your stuff is and that it's all going to fit right. And as you see, that's just that really soft-sided laundry hamper, so it works great, and it comes right up against the bed. Again, a really great thing about this RV is if we wanted to just boondock really quickly and get us a little sleep, we certainly have access to our bed. We would have to crawl over, but that's my side, so no big deal. But it's great to be able to have some access to some rooms. So in this one, we have access to the bedroom, we have access to the bathroom, we have access to the loft, and we have access to that second bedroom. All right, so now that the RV is ready to go inside, we're gonna close our stairs up. We have these really great stairs. We love them. The only tip I'll give you about the stairs is you must make sure that door is all the way open. If you don't, it will catch on it. They're really lightweight aluminum, but they're super sturdy. So we can close that up. We're gonna go ahead and lock it. And I'll tell you, those stairs are, I can't tell you how amazing they are because they're so much more sturdy than the others we've had. And they just ride so well. And then we just lock it up, turn that handle over so it's ready for travel. Of course, you always want to go through. You want to make sure every one of your outside compartments are locked up. You don't ever want to drive down the road and have things coming out. So we're going to go over here on the other side. It's a little noisy. I apologize. We have our neighbors in their Class A diesel pusher are also getting ready to leave. So they are, there's a little bit of background noise, so I apologize for that. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to unhook our power.
Always turn the power off at the box before you unplug anything.
We also have a really great surge guard that we got with our RV, or that we purchased. And it's really good. You want to make sure you do that just so that your RV doesn't get too much power coming into it and doing any...
Or have a negative ground problem with your power supply.
Absolutely.
We've never had it, but if you watch enough YouTube videos, you'll see people have had them where they went to plug in and they had a negative ground problem with their RV. And all the surge protector does is it shows you if there's a negative ground problem or if there's a bad plug-in. It'll show you that and give you a warning before you plug in and destroy your electrical system in your RV.
Excellent. So just really great safety precautions. All good things.
Okay. All right, got it.
Now we have a really long electric cord, which is great because, you know, you may not always be this close to your electrical source at a site. So this is a really good thing that we have that. We can stretch it quite a ways. Sorry about that. The diesel left and it was really loud, but we'll be staying at my mother-in-law's in a month or so, and we may need a little extra cord to get us where we need it to plug in there. So it's really great to have a long cord on your RV. Now what Phil's doing now is we've been here for about a month and there's been some rain and it was laying in the grass, so that cord got a little bit muddy and dirty. So we want to try to keep the inside of our basement underneath our RV as clean as possible. So Phil just has a towel that he uses pretty regularly. He's just going to wipe that thing down, make sure that it's good and clean before we put it inside of the basement. So this was just a quick look at our basement. There's nothing really fancy happening here. We've just tried to be really conscientious about what we put in here. We're trying to keep the weight as light as we can. I did do a couple of storage hacks. You can see my husband's fishing poles back there. You can see that on another YouTube video, but this is how full or light, as the person may think, that our particular basement is kept. So our RV has auto leveling, so you can see the auto leveling system there. So Phil's going to go ahead and start that process. We do have 6 jacks on this particular model. There are 2 in the front. We have 2 midway, and then we have 2 in the rear, and all 6 of those are done through hydraulics. And as I said, there is the capability of doing it out here from the actual basement of the RV. You can also do it from inside on that control panel where we did our slide outs, and we can also do it using our Jayco app. As with any new RV, there are always some technical glitches, or figuring things out, really, more than technical glitches. So we figured out exactly which buttons we needed to push to get these jacks raised up. So that's great. All the technology is a little overwhelming. So once we get the jacks up, Phil goes around, He collects all of those little blocks that we put underneath. We have 2 sets of those, just so you know, because we have 6 jacks. So if typically we would like to put about 3 under each one. We didn't the first time, but we probably will moving forward. And so we will, having 2 sets will give us the capability of doing that. So now you'll see that both the back jacks are up. Or all 4 of the back jacks are up. And then now the only jacks that remain are these front jacks. And we do have a capability on this RV to do hit a button that is called Hitch Height. And what it does is it remembers the height that your hitch was when you dropped this RV. So you just hit the button, it automatically raises that up to the height that the hitch was when it was dropped off. Now, keep in mind, for us, this particular time, we're probably going to have to adjust that because it was a completely different truck that brought it than is taking it away. So we will get that exactly the right height and we'll be hooking up. So it's official. I just backed my truck into the RV for the first time. I follow instructions well, y'all. It's not like I did it all by myself. If it hadn't been for my husband, I would probably be on the other side of the trailer, but it's done. We're hooked up and we're excited. So on our truck, one of the things that we ordered and we wanted to make sure we had was this extra plug-in inside the truck bed. So that way all of our electric can be stationary inside the truck, and that made it easier for us. And here Phil's putting that final pin in place, making sure that it's good and hooked. And then the other thing that's nice about our truck, and I think I don't know if I showed you all this before or not, but the tailgate on our truck actually is automatic. So there is a button we can push in the center, but as you can see now, it would be a little tight for me to be able to get in there and hit that, although I could. But we also have an app on our phones that will raise it. There's a button inside the cab that raises it as well. So we can do all of that really easily. So in our final preparations, we will go around, we will collect all of those blocks that we had. I think we have 1 remaining there. We've got our jacks are up. We're gonna go back here, we'll pull the chocks out of the tires, and then we'll do what we refer to at our house as the final walk around. So Phil always does a final walk around. We make sure we have lights, everything's working, all the doors are locked, and we haven't left anything that we didn't see earlier at the campsite. And once that final walk around has been done, then we jump in the truck and we'll be heading out of here. Okay, we've checked our lights, everything's working perfectly. So final step, Phil's gonna take those chocks out of the tires, get those out. Sometimes you'll have to move up a little bit to get them if they're good and tight, but not a problem. And then we're gonna put those right here in the basement with the rest of our things, so we have it when we get to the next destination. Obviously that's a 2-handed process there. Awesome. We'll sit them right inside. You can see that we have our blocks sitting there, our chocks are sitting there, so that when we come out for the next place, we'll be ready to go. And of course, as always, last step of this process, making sure all doors are locked. So when we're done, Phil will go from this side all the way around the back of the RV. He'll check to make sure that all the locks are locked. He'll make sure nothing is left that shouldn't have been, and we will head out. So here it is, everybody. We are closed up, locked up, everything's running, everything's good. Big Red is ready to pull this thing out of here. And here we go. First trip out. I cannot tell you how excited we are. This has been a lifelong dream of ours, to be able to live in our happy place, which is in an RV, and all of that has happened, and we're so excited that you were here to be a part of it with us. So we are heading to Springfield, Missouri, gonna spend the night there, and we'll let you know what that campground's like when we get there. In the meantime, as always, thanks so much for watching, and follow us on our website. That's HendrickHomeOnTheHighway.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Hendrick Home on the Highway. And as always, we'll see you down the road. Hey everybody, I just wanted to add a little extra to the end of this video. As you know, we had a Class A motorhome, a gas Class A motorhome before we bought this fifth wheel. And I don't know if you've ever ridden in a Class A motorhome, but they're a little noisy. We loved the motorhome and it was great, but I'm telling you what, you really felt and heard every bump in the road, and things just made a lot of noise. And I just want you to listen to how quiet it is in our truck. Isn't that amazing? I mean, this truck is phenomenal. The new trucks that they build are just like luxury vehicles, so it's fabulous, but it's the quiet that we are absolutely astounded by. So we are loving this trip. Everything's going wonderful. Phil says that our 3/4 ton is pulling this RV without any issues at all. We are headed west. So far, loving every minute of it. So just wanted to update you on this amazing quiet factor that we're really enjoying on this trip. Thanks, and we'll see you down the road.